Thank you. We'll put some audio visuals here now. Okay, test. I wanted to talk just briefly about the history of the cello suites and then show you some additions, since there are like over 30 editions of these, and it's a real question as to what text to look at when you're playing them, and I'll tell you about what I play. This whole array of items over here are for you to look at after we get done, and you can also come up and ask me questions when we finish. And if there's anything that you feel like will contribute to the flow of the discussion, feel free to raise your hands and ask questions while I'm discussing them. If anybody wants to come forward to see these more closely or to hear me better, feel free to do that. The cello suites were composed by Johann Sebastian Bach around 1720 while he was employed by a Prince Leopold in Kärnten, Germany. And he was employed during 1717 to 1723. So the circa number on your program is an approximation. They're not sure where during that time he composed the suites, but they think about 1720. He also composed most of his instrumental music during the same time. His violin sonatas and partitas and the Brandenburg concertos are very popular pieces. They were composed during the same time. One of the problems with our trying to edit these pieces is that there is no Bach autograph. In other words, there's no copy of what Bach actually wrote down. The closest we have is what you see on the screen here. This is the first page and then on to the second page. And that's what I played, the prelude that I played in the very beginning of the suite. This is Bach's second wife's copy. Her name is Anna Magdalena Bach. And so far, it's the closest we can come to what he intended. There are some problems with it. And I'm going to mostly deal with the first 20 or 24 measures of the prelude, just for comparison of all these different editions. So that's really all we need to look at. Wilkomirski's edition, which you can look at over here, has printed most of the errors in her copy. And right up here they talk about, I think he's printed the wrong. He's printed what she wrote up here. It sounds like this. If you remember, I played an A in that second measure during instead of the G, like this. And musicologists had just decided that he intended to be in A minor there instead of C major. They just feel like C major sounds way out of place. So if you look at this, that's the bar 18. If you look over here, you can see that she wrote the G. If everybody can see that around me. She wrote a G. So musicologists, pretty much beginning with a Bach Cello shop that came out in 1879, have decided that that is a mistake, and they correct that. The one other mistake in the prelude, prelude actually beginning with this other page, is during the chords at the very end, over here. And if you'll notice, she has copied the same chord here for the second chord and for the third chord. And I think, and that sounds like. It sounds in my ear that chord should come in on the third measure. So most musicologists have changed the second measure to an F. Mistakes like this, probably an average of 2 per dance movement throughout the suites. And if you want to get an idea of what they are, Wilkomirski talks about them in detail and he lays them all out. They're also in the Bach Ausgabe, however, all in German. Let's see. Put this up here for the time being. That again is Anna Magdalena Bach's copy, and I will refer to that as the AMB copy, because we're going to have another one. This is those first few measures of the Bach Cello shop that I mentioned, which was published in 1879 by an A. Durfel, and it's a collected Bach's works. It's Bach Cello shop Ausgabe, and so they attempt to print or edit and print everything that Bach has done. And so this is in that big red volume if you want to take a look at it. And it's really the first scholarly edition, meaning a scholarly edition meaning that the editors have taken a look at the sources, they have made editorial decisions about those mistakes and about the bowings, and they've come up with this as what they feel to be as close as possible to what Bach intended. There's a big difference between this and the source. And so we wonder sometimes about why they made some of those decisions. They also mention in their editorial notes a second copy by a copyist named Johann Peter Kellner. And this could shed some light on why they made some of their decisions. Now, if you can see where I've marked, that is the same suite, a different copy. This Johann Peter Kellner was about 20 years younger than Bach. When Bach composed those pieces, he was 35 years old. So, and that was in 1720. Johann Peter Kellner, I will refer to this as a JPK copy. This was, this has been dated with watermarks as 1726. So that would make him very young, 21 years old, I think, when he copied these. And there's a whole book over there by Stinson, and he has researched all the copies that JPK has done, and he's compared them with some Bach autographs. He's decided that this Johann Peter Kellner did a lot of editorial changing. And so we have to take with a grain of salt some of the things that he's done, because he was a musician himself, he was an organist, he was a violinist, and a lot of the things that he has indicated are different than that. And and in order to compare those two, I learned a trick from George Bozarth in editing class. Now I need a third projector. But this is a process in which an editor can decide, you know, what the truth is, or at least compare these editions. I have taken if you can see down at the bottom, it says NBA Text 1. That means Bach Neue Ausgabe Text 1, and that's what I play from. That's available in the library. Looks like this. This is what I play off of, and I've taken a copy of that, and in red, I've tried to, as closely as possible, mark in all these bowings by Anna Magdalena Bach. Trying to be careful to, like, for example, look at the third measure bowing. I've tried to even make the same shape, third measure up there, that red one. I try to make the same shape and try to make sure that I'm showing what notes are joined to what notes, because that's the important thing when they're making an addition, that the bowing ties the right notes, whether it ties 4 notes together or whether it ties 3 notes together. That's the important thing to figure out. And in blue, I've overlaid the Johann Peter Kellner bowings. And again, look at the second measure. That little hook thing is his bowing. It's sort of aiming at the second 16th note and the fourth, or right in between the third and fourth 16th note. Well, I try to do that as closely as possible with the blue bowing there. And then I can take this and I can compare the two and go, well, it looks like these editors. Now this is the Bach Neue Ausgabe, which came out just recently in like 1980. So it looks like these editors have